let's talk about the racing and the packaging and how that championship has evolved, your championship has evolved over, let's say, over the last decade.
It's the TV is first and foremost, unfortunately, with any motorsport.
Why do you say
well, it lives and dies on TV. You know, you can be a bit more purist, and we're both motorsport enthusiasts.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think I am, but I am, and you know I am.
I know you are. Yeah.
And the purist in me, you wouldn't do certain things if you had your druthers, if you weren't playing to an audience, if you like. But it was blindly obvious that to make any motorsport championship successful, you've got to play to the audience, and that's what it's got to be. It's got to be entertaining, it's got to be exciting, and it's got to be close motorsport. And the way we go about our motorsport is different to what Formula One does. You know, Formula One is an incredibly technical exercise. Touring car racing isn't. You know, so we have all sorts of ways and means of delivering cars that are equal in performance, of making the racing exciting by doing the grids in different ways and everything else. And it makes the championship an incredibly close, an exciting championship to watch. It's never boring.
There were, however, some pivotal moments when Formula One went towards paid television, because that's where the big money was coming from. You've steadfastly remained with free-to-air TV.
Yeah,
for example.
Look, in the mid-90s, I was made a very good offer by Sky at that time to go on to pay-per-view, and I could have done that and laid on the beach in Barbados for the rest of my life, because it was a very lucrative offer, but I would have killed the championship doing it. I've always been after eyeballs. You know, they're the things that drive our championships: eyeballs, trackside, and watching on TV. So our TV deal with ITV is an enormously successful one for both parties, and then to the point where we've gone into a new 5-year contract with ITV, and that's the longest sporting contract they've ever had. And they deliver 260 hours of free TV to the BTCC per year, and that's live all day from 11 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night, highlights, repeats, all this sort of stuff. I just want eyeballs, and it's eyeballs that drive this championship. It's what brings the sponsors in, it's what brings the manufacturers, it's what brings the TV audiences, what brings the trackside audiences in.
And it sounds quite simple when you explain it that way, so elegantly, yet of course you're almost unique in the sense that you've chosen that path, because everybody else is so preoccupied with getting the money up front because motor racing is so capital intensive. And your path, dare I say it, does involve quite a lot of work on the side of the teams and yourself to get the sponsorship as a result of the eyeballs that are going out on the live television. And you've done that. You've got some great sponsors in the championship.
But our financial model is very different to the Formula One or IndyCar.
Or virtually anything else.
Yeah, and our financial means are quite modest. You know, we don't have any goals outside being the best championship in the UK. So we're not trying to sell ourselves to the world. We're not trying to do anything smart or clever other than to deliver the best motorsport championship in the UK. And whilst you've got that as your business model, you don't have to go down all those sorts of different directions to try and create revenue streams that we don't need.
Well, that's another interesting point, because we've seen other local championships, Australian V8s being a good example, trying to franchise that brand to New Zealand, to Abu Dhabi and all sorts of things. And yet you've never, as you say, you've never fallen tempted. It's like, dare I say it, like a restaurant in your local village, which you love, and all of a sudden they expand and they franchise and it goes downhill.
Well, yeah. And the answer I give to a lot of people that ask the same question is, why don't you go and do a couple of races in Europe? Why don't you go and do Spa and everything else? And as I say to people, that's just a vanity exercise. That doesn't deliver me anything other than the drivers are quite happy because they get to drive on a neat circuit they wouldn't normally drive on, but there'd be no one watching it. The cost to the teams and all that would go through the roof. It's just a pure vanity exercise. And the other one which is what you're getting to, the other thing that I say to people is, name me a national championship that has ever been successful internationally, and there isn't. And you can name all of them. IndyCar is never a success internationally. That's why they've contracted back to North America. NASCAR even tried it For some years they went and did races over, and I think went to Germany, they went to Japan. NASCAR tried it. Australian V8s tried it. It doesn't work. You know, what's successful in Britain, the BTCC, would probably be derided by a lot of other. It's what works in our country doesn't necessarily work internationally, and people need to, in charge of those other championships, need to understand where they are in this world and start realising once you start losing your home audience, then you're losing, your championship is losing in total.